I woke up the same way I had for the past 11 days. On my side in the small bunk of the echidna drift, with a massive clawed hand wrapped tightly around mine. And I couldn't move. Not because I was paralyzed or afraid, but because the creature sleeping next to me, the one who'd crash-landed into my life and into this ship, gripped my hand with a kind of unconscious strength that could snap metal. Her breath was slow, rhythmic, warm on my forearm. And though her claws could probably shear through me like a dull blade through cloth, she held my hand like something precious, fragile. She hadn't stirred. Not once. I tried to pull away on the second night. Tried to wake her, talk to her, reason with her. I'd screamed. I played recordings. I'd even tried shocking her. But nothing worked. So I lay there. And I watched her dream. Her name, at least, as best as I could decipher from the tangle of grunts and guttural sounds the ship's translator offered, was Kruvai. Her species didn't exactly have a written language, or clothing, or technology as far as I could tell. She was different. Massive, covered in a dense layer of fur that shimmered like oil in low light, with an elongated snout and feline eyes that pulsed with bioluminescent shifts depending on her mood. When she'd been awake, her irises had turned from aquamarine to blazing amber depending on her emotions. The colors alone were more expressive than most humans I'd met. We'd found her, if you could call what happened finding, drifting in an escape pod that had cracked through the atmosphere of Mirova 6. I was on a solo salvage mission. The pod had no identifiable tech, no distress beacon, no readable materials. Just her, barely breathing. Instinct said to leave it. I didn't. I dragged her pod into the echidna's cargo bay, ran every scan I had, and pumped her with enough biostabilizers to resuscitate a bull elephant. She didn't wake. She just twitched. And then, at some point that first night while I was asleep in my bunk, she crawled into the berth, curled around me and held my hand. And now, 11 days later, here I was. Still held. Still stuck. At first I was terrified. She was bigger, stronger, and unknown. My brain spun with nightmares of alien parasites, telepathic bonding rituals, or, God forbid, some kind of interspecies mating claim. The translator hadn't helped. Any attempt to speak to her had returned nothing but static-filled errors and meaningless translations like honor through stillness or preserve bond in slumber. What did that even mean? On the fourth day, I started talking to her just to stay sane. I told her about Earth, though I hadn't seen it in years. About the way snow used to fall on my old neighborhood in Nova Scotia. About my little sister and her fear of the ocean. About the reasons I'd taken a job as a long-haul scrap runner across the Huron Belt, to get away from things I didn't want to face. And still she slept. Her hand never loosened. By the 8th day, I'd stopped trying to escape. I'd started eating in bed. Rigged a drinking straw from a water bladder to the pillow. Even rerouted one of the sanitation tubes so I wouldn't have to get up for. You know, don't judge. You'd have done the same. I was adapting. And that scared me more than anything. On day 12 something changed. He twitched. It wasn't much. Just a flex of the claws. But I felt it. Her breathing sped up, and her eyes flicked beneath their lids. I leaned close, whispering the way I had for over a week now. Kruvai. You with me? Her ears flicked. She made a low, humming noise like a purr rumbling in reverse. Her grip on my hand slackened, just slightly. Enough for me to breathe. I shifted, gently pulling away. And for the first time since she'd come aboard, my hand slipped free. I rolled off the bunk like I was escaping a crime scene. Hit the floor, scrambled back. She didn't move. Her chest rose and fell in steady rhythm, but the glow in her eyelids began to pulse brighter. I backed toward the cockpit, heart racing, and tapped into the translator again. It was still garbage, but a few words kept repeating in the audio logs I'd made. Preserve, bond, life, dream. I scoured the archives, comparing her vitals to what little xenobiological data I had. That's when I found something. An old report from an abandoned survey mission on Mirova 6. There'd been signs of a native sentient species. Large, furred, non-technological, but with intense neural complexity. The report had called it dream bonding. A kind of psychic ritual. A survival mechanism. When I returned to the bunk, she was sitting up. Eyes wide. Locked on me. Froze. She opened her mouth, and her voice came like thunder muffled through fur. You speak. Now you hear. The translator clicked an word and I got. We are linked. Not by choice, but by need. Need, said. What kind of need? Her head tilted. You pulled me from death. You held my soul. Now I must anchor yours. That's poetic, I said, backing up a step. But I don't need anchoring. I'm fine. She stood, towered. Her fur rippled with colors like an aurora. You are not, she said. You are untethered, floating. You do not dream. You drift. And then I understood. She hadn't just held me physically. She had been inside my head, watching my memories, my fears, my running. You were healing me, she said. Now I stay. Until the anchor is set. We didn't sleep apart after that. Not because I couldn't, but because I didn't want to. She no longer gripped my hand every night. But sometimes when the dreams came, the ones where my sister's face blurred into the stars, or I saw my old home swallowed by waves, I'd feel her clawed fingers brush mine, grounding me. I asked her about her people, about her world, about what happened. Fire from sky, she said. Our kind few, scattered. The bond ritual keeps us from fading. One must dream with another, or lose the self. She was the last of her kind, maybe. I didn't press. Weeks passed. The ship's course corrected. Supplies lasted. She learned to cook dehydrated noodles and hated them. Learned to float in zero-G and loved it. Watched old Earth movies and cried during Wall-E. Sometimes she'd take apart the engine and reassemble it perfectly, despite claiming to have no understanding of machines. I follow the hum, she'd say. Whatever that meant. But always every night we shared the bunk. One time I asked why she held my hand for those first days. Why so tightly? She looked at me, eyes soft. You were falling. Had no words. So I held. Then came the distress call. A civilian mining rig nearby. Hit by a pirate ambush. Survivors clinging to orbit. I changed course without hesitation. When we arrived, the wreckage was worse than I'd expected. Scattered across a debris field, atmosphere leaking. We suited up, docked with what remained of the central pod. Inside, 2 survivors. A young woman and a kid, maybe 10. Barely breathing. We brought them aboard. Stabilized them. They slept for days. Kruvai watched them silently. They are like you, she said. I guess, I replied. No dream bond, she said. They drift. Something heavy sat in my gut. Can you help them? Like you helped me. She didn't answer. On the 5th night, I woke to find her gone. Not in the bunk. Not in the cockpit. Just gone. The kid stirred as I searched, whispering about strange lights. The woman mumbled something about dreams of forests, glowing rivers and warmth. I found Kruvai in the cargo bay, standing beside the medpod. The lid was sealed. She was inside. No pulse. No breath. But her hand was pressed to the glass. Open. Waiting. I stared, numb, until the message scrolled across the pod's console. Dream past. Anchor set. Let go. She'd given herself to the kid. To help him tether. She knew I was strong enough now. Knew I could wake on my own. And she left me the way she came, quietly. Without asking. Without taking. Only giving. I still pilot the Echidna Drift. Still take odd jobs. But I'm not running anymore. Dream now. Every night. Sometimes I still feel her hand. And I hold it back. Because even if she's gone, she made sure I'd never fall again. Ending, extended version. It's been 3 months since Kruvai passed. 3 months since she climbed willingly into that pod and gave her bond. Her very soul to save someone else. The child Talon is doing better now. The dreams he used to wake screaming from are quieter. He sleeps through the night. Smiles when he sees stars through the viewport. Sometimes I catch him reaching out in his sleep. Not for me. For something else. Maybe he feels her too. I've kept her pod sealed, preserved. I tried to find a way to revive her, to undo what she'd done. But there's no tech in this part of the galaxy that can understand dream bonding. Whatever it was, it went deeper than medicine. It wasn't just physical. It was sacred. I still talk to her. Loud sometimes. Especially when the ship gets quiet. The Echidna Drift is bigger now. I added a second bunk. Upgraded the NAV systems. I even named the ship's AI after her. Karyuyu. Doesn't purr, obviously. But sometimes when I drift off and the engines hum just right, I swear I can hear her voice again. I'm not who I was when she found me. I don't wake up afraid anymore. I don't stare into the stars hoping they swallow me. I look forward now. Toward something. I still fly solo most of the time. But every so often I get a passenger. Stray. Someone broken, lost, running from a past they can't outrun. And I tell them a story. About a Beastwoman who didn't know human words, but knew human pain. About how she came to me in the dark, without asking, without needing thanks. About how she held my hand. And taught me how to live again. So if you're ever out in the drift, and you see a beat-up old freighter with a strange AI and a child drawing glowing rivers on the walls, know that we've got room. We don't ask questions. We just offer a hand.